I'm a camera. Hello, and welcome to
Distance learning.
almost there. We are at week 12, which that's a lot of weeks. We are going to do critique today, which presumably you already know because you've already done it. And then we'll talk a little bit about the final project, which is sort of what I'm doing now. I don't know if you can hear these giant explosion noises in the background. I don't know what they are. Cannons, not Nikons. So, final project. It is due on the last day of class for critique. It's going to be a big old critique with everybody in the room. You are going to need to work on it a bunch between now and then. You cannot, if you try to leave it until the last week, maybe it's possible, but probably not. It will certainly not be very good. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about what you want to do. Between now and then, on the individual weeks, we will have some sort of interim meetings. We'll have a meeting next week where I meet one-on-one with everybody to discuss their final project proposal. I'll talk about what that is in a sec. We will have some meetings where you guys get together in small groups and get some feedback on what you're working on from your classmates. That will be good. We've also got a guest speaker coming in on the 3rd. So that will be fun. So that's the general gist of things. Besides the final project after today, you do not have anything else due. Some of you have stuff you still need to finish. And there's also the extra credit assignment, so that's out there as well. But mostly what we're doing is working on the final project. And again, I cannot stress this enough. You need to work on it every single week and do things. Otherwise, you'll be fucked. Okay, so let's take a look at the assignment description up here under assignment descriptions, assignment final. So what we do with the final project is that you are choosing basically one of the ways that we've worked this semester, something that you really enjoyed or wanted to return to or had some great ideas after you saw everybody else's work. And you're going to be making a number of pieces in that mode. So triptychs, right? So that's the big 3 panel things. 4 completed triptychs, size as if you were printing them 36 inches wide. Joiners, right? That's the one with the little machine prints. 4 completed joiners made of at least 20 prints each. For these, we're going to be doing them digitally. So all of these are going to be not printed out, right? If you're like, oh, I really like printing them out, you can print them out. That is totally fine with me. But there's no requirement that you make prints for these final projects. So for the joiners, the quote-unquote Hockney project, you're going to be doing that the way that we did the exercise. So you're doing that, moving those things around and putting them together in Photoshop. Right? Remember, there's a handout on that. There's a video on that. So if that's your bag, take a look at that as a refresh. Environmental portraits, 4 environmental portraits. Those would be sized around 8 by 10. And then studio tethered capture with multiple light sources. And the multiple light sources, I feel like in this one, that was a little not as, it was not as multiple light source as it could have been. So maybe hit that a little harder if that's the thing that you want to, I'm sorry, I was thinking about environmental portraits. Strike that. Never mind. Studio tethered capture with multiple lights, 4 final images, sized again around 20 by 30 each. So look at each of these. Each of them have a different final size requirement. Again, they're not physically being printed out, but you are physically sizing the files as if that were happening. So for the final project, that Studio Tethered capture can be portrait or still life in studio, and it can be in black and white or in color. So it's sort of a mix of the extra credit assignment and the assignment 6, whatever number it is. And again, there's some specs on these guys. Files should be PSDs or TIFFs. They should be 180 ppi at your print size, Adobe RGB 1998. And you should save a second copy at 300 pixels and alongside sRGB JPEG. That obviously is what we will use for critique in class. You will turn in a proposal. This is going to be due before class next week. Class is on a Monday. You probably know that. So you will need to get this proposal to me by like end of the day Saturday, so I can have Sunday to take a look at it. And then next Monday we will have individual meetings. I will make a list and we will go over your proposal and do some troubleshooting. So include your concept, motivation, inspiration, right? Like, why do you want to do this? What is it about this that you think is interesting? What is the sort of like the project that you want to use this for? Why, right? We've looked at all of these forms, so you should have a good idea of their strengths and weaknesses. And you should have a good idea of, which one sort of scratches your itch. So, right, don't just choose one out of a hat. That would be dumb. So concept, motivation, inspiration, what you want to make this project about, which technique you're using, right, from the list above. And then this may be the most important aspect, a timeline broken down week by week, right? So take a look at how many weeks we have left, not that many. And each week you should have a set of things happening that end up with you being done before the final week, right? And that includes things like stuff going wrong, right? This is not easy. This is going to be a bunch of work. So, when like we've all had this semester, like, oh, I'm going to go take this picture and like somebody fucking flakes, right? Like, oh, I'm going to take this picture and oh, my equipment doesn't work, right? Like, or like, I don't know, something, right? Like, so have a backup plan, have an alternative plan for each week, right? You want to have what you're going to do and then think about what the obstacles are, right? Think about like, what do I need to make this happen? How can I get around that if it doesn't happen? What do I need to have done by what point to give me enough room that I can still recover if part of that goes catastrophically wrong, right? If I need to reshoot something, if I lose my files because I'm not fucking paying attention to what I'm doing, all that stuff. So timeline means you break down what you're doing each week and when you're doing it, right? So, okay, Tuesday, I'm going to be going to Amagansett and scouting locations. And then Thursday, I'm going to be returning to Amagansett with my camera and my dog and a hot air balloon. And I'm going to be making this picture if the weather's good. If it's not, I'm going to be doing it the day after, right? Like that. I don't know what the fuck project that is, but like that is the idea of how broken down I want these things to be, very specific. Think about what you'll need to do the things you want to do, right? What equipment are you going to need? What access to people are you going to need? What, transportation are you going to need, if any, right? Like, don't be stupid. COVID's still out here, gonna fuck you up. So don't do the bad things. Yeah. So, and build in some time to reshoot stuff, right? Because you're probably going to do something wrong, or I'm going to tell you did something wrong, and you're going to have to reshoot. So, we'll have weekly meetings or in process discussions in smaller groups where you'll get feedback on what you're doing. So make sure that you're shooting stuff every week, right? You want to make sure that you have, if you're meeting with somebody last week, you're meeting with them this week, you want to make sure that you have progress, right? And that's not just so that you have something to talk about, it's so that you can actually finish the project and have it be good. Deliverables, see above, right? So depending on which one you're doing, that will depend, or that will determine what it is you need to turn in. You'll turn in digital files of your final images and in progress small images as we go. So each week, right, you'll be needing to turn in some set of images basically showing like, yeah, I'm not just dicking around. You know, do I really care if you're dicking around? I mean, no, because if you don't do anything, it makes grading it a lot easier. But I am trying to help you help yourself. Yeah, okay, that's it. So grading criteria, proposals, 10%, planning and weekly progress, that's 20%, right? That's a big chunk. So having stuff in there each week, super helpful. Aesthetics, big thing. Concepts, techniques, and final presentation. So that's your big final project. It is due on the last week. There are a finite number of weeks between this week and that week. Finish your proposal and get started, right? Like, don't wait to hear back from me about your proposal. If you have anything where you're like, wow, this part of the proposal seems nuts, reach out now, right? So you're not coming in next week and being like, and then I'm going to have 100 dolphins. And I'm like, you can't have 100 dolphins. The fuck are you going to get 100 dolphins from? So anything that you think seems like super dubious, reach out now because you really will need to start working on it between now and next week. All right, this is very exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing the work that you guys are going to produce for this. Please reach out, questions, problems, thoughts. If you want to bounce ideas off me, if you want ideas about like locations or techniques or any of that shit, my brain, such as it is open to you. So there you go. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing your project proposals by end of the day next Saturday.